Hey guys, Andy from wagertalk.com. We are going to be breaking down every fight on the card at UFC 292, and you're going to want to watch this video because there are a ton of huge favorites, and we all know they're not all going to win. There are going to be some underdogs that trip people up, and I'm going to go over a couple that I think you guys should stay away from. So we're going to break down all the fights, figure out which favorites we like. I'm going to tell you a couple of underdogs that are live and that I think maybe are worth sprinkles. So let's get into it. All plays can be found at wagertalk.com. I love breaking down these UFC fights, but if you have not checked out our Road to Millions videos, it's on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. We break down how all of our weeks went. We're trying to turn $1,000 into $1,000,000, all by just making 3% a week, and UFC is a big part of it. So let's get into the fights. Let's pull up our screen here, and we will start with the Ultimate Fighter, one of the championships, Kurt Holobaugh and Austin Hubbard. I got to tell you, this line really, really surprised me. I wrote my article for wagertalk.com, and there were not odds out yet. And this is what I wrote. I wrote that I thought Hubbard was not real impressive on the Ultimate Fighter at times, and Holobaugh just laid it all out on the line against Jason Knight. I thought it was an incredible fight, amazing striking and toughness. And I think Holobaugh has the more upside, and I loved the aggression. I think his aggression and striking power and just tenacity looks to be at a little bit of a different level. I want the guy that lays it all out on the line and says, "I'm going for broke." And I think that's Holobaugh. And then he comes out as the underdog. So listen, I'm not going to be surprised if Holobaugh gets the win and ends up making it. Ends up kind of getting a few fights in the UFC, especially if he puts on the caliber of fight that he put on against Jason Knight. So I really like Holobaugh. The line really, really surprised me because I just think the more exciting fighter and the one that is just willing to say, "Hey, listen, you're gonna have to kill me to get me out of this ring." I think that's Kurt Holobaugh, and Austin Hubbard just did not look. He just didn't look that impressive. I mean, he did what he had to do. He gets the wins, but I just think Holobaugh has a little bit more upside. So I'm gonna go with Kurt. That's my official pick in the Ultimate Fighter. Um, that's going to be on the prelims. So let's go to the next fight. Maryna, Moroz, and Karine Silva. So Silva is a pretty big favorite. I don't think she's the minus 200 just yet. Listen, don't blink in a in a Silva fight. We do know that. So Silva, she won 6 in a row, all by finish. 5 are in the first round. She's everything that Dana White would want in a fighter. She finishes. I mean, we look at her record. She gets the gross knee bar against Ketlin Souza. Really did some damage. She gets the Darce choke against Pollyanna. So you're seeing a lot of submissions. She does have a win here. By punches, but that was not in UFC. So once she got on Contender Series and then in her UFC fights, she gets the finishes. So can she do that against the Iron Laney in Moroz? And I think she can. I absolutely think she can. I went back and watched the fight against Jennifer Maia, and first off, we've got Moroz, who okay, she gets the win against Agapova, but you go back, Agapova was really hurt going into that fight. In fact, I found an article before that fight that said Agapova took that fight literally so she could get paid to get the surgery to fix her. She fought so hurt that the reason that she fought was to get a paycheck so she could cover the cost of her surgery. So, and Moroz does not get the early finish. She gets one of the craziest arm triangle chokes. Agapova's tongue is just hanging out of her mouth. It was just a wild, crazy fight. So then she fights Jennifer Maia, loses unanimous decision, and no upside. Just pretty lackluster. She's a striker, not real creative, doesn't seem to have a whole lot of power. If Moroz wins, it's going to be by decision, but I just want the more aggressive fighter who can finish. I think Silva gets another finish here. I think Silva is so hungry to get fighters on the ground that she's just going to go for broke to do it. And once she gets you on the ground, you're over. I think the body type of Moroz, I think Silva can grab a knee, can grab an arm, can grab a neck there. Moroz just has these long limbs that Silva is going to be able to grab. She shoots with really good aggression to get opponents on the ground. when she gets down there, she's relentless when she searches. So, you know, the line is hovering around this minus 180 mark. You know, if you want to take Silva now, that's fine. But you might want to wait until the props come out and just take her to win inside the distance. This is how Silva wins. She finishes. If it goes the distance, I got to believe it's going to kind of be on the feet where Moroz has an outsider chance to steal the win. But if you're going to take Silva, maybe the best way to maybe the best thing to do betting wise is to just wait. Take her to win inside the distance. Those props will come out probably Thursday. So, but if you want to take Silva now to get the best number of the money line, go for it, because I can't imagine money's going to come in on Maryna. Andrea Lee and Natalia Silva. I am a huge Natalia Silva fan. We have made money, I believe, on all of her fights. I mean, just her win against Teresa Bleda was pretty impressive. Then, of course, she gets a quick knockout, vicious knockout against Victoria Leonardo, and she gets the decision win in her UFC debut against Jasmine Jasudavicius. So I love Natalia Silva. She's a huge favorite. I think she loses. I think Andrea Lee gets the better of her, and you're getting a huge price. You're getting plus 275. I'm seeing right now when we record this. So Silva's going to be shorter, and Lee's going to have the reach advantage. And obviously, Silva's kind of used to that, but she hasn't fought anybody like Andrea Lee. So she wins by decision against Jasudavicius. She knocks out Bleda and Leonardo. Those two are nowhere near the caliber of Andrea Lee. And don't forget, Natalia Silva got taken down against Bleda, and Bleda laid on her. And we documented how Bleda's cardio is non-existent. She gets way tired. Silva takes advantage and gets the knockout. And then Victoria Leonardo, come on, not that impressive. She did what she had to do. She gets the early finish. But so those are Natalia Silva's last two opponents. Okay, Teresa Bleda and Victoria Leonardo. Who's Andrea Lee's last two opponents? Macy Barber and Vivian Araju or Araju. I'm butchering that name. I'm sorry. Listen, the Macy Barber loss was a split decision, and it was razor edge close. I actually thought she won when I went back and watched it. She was able to take Barber down several times. And listen, if she can take Macy Barber down, she can take Silva down. And I know Silva's lightning fast and a great striker, but being a great striker against Teresa Bleda and Victoria Leonardo is one thing, and being a great striker against Andrea Lee is a completely different one. So I think if you're looking for underdogs on this card, because you not every single favorite is going to win, you have to try and pick your spots and see where an underdog has a chance. I just think Lee is not going to have cardio issues. That's going to be the other thing. And I think she's going to take Natalia Silva into some deeper waters on the ground where Silva hasn't been tested before. So Andrea Lee at this plus 275, I absolutely have to take a sprinkle here. Andrea Lee's on a 2-fight win streak. She does not want to get it to 3, especially because this is a step down when you're fighting Vivian and you're fighting Macy Barber. So if I'm looking for my first underdog place, it's probably going to be Andrea Lee. I really like that one. I think the odds really don't make much sense and very disrespectful to Andrea Lee. Up next, Gerald Meerschaert and Andre Petroski. This is a tough fight to bet on because Meerschaert, as we know, he's submission or bust for the most part. Petroski likes to use his strike to set up the wrestling and the takedowns. And the thing is, if Petroski goes for the takedowns, I don't think Meerschaert's going to be that disappointed about it. I mean, that's kind of where he wants to be, so he can work, chokes and triangles. And I think Petroski has the striking advantage. I thought his striking looked improved against Wellington Turman. I'm not going to say great, but it was an improvement. I just don't think he has the cardio to be on the feet striking like that for 3 rounds. Meerschaert looked great 2 fights ago, submission win against Bruno Silva. Just got knocked out real quick against Joe Pyfer. Now, Petroski does not have that kind of striking. At least I haven't seen it yet. But I just think this fight is really tough to handicap. I'm not going to bet on Petroski because Meerschaert can pull off a submission out of nowhere. I'm not that confident that Meerschaert is going to get there. So I think this fight just ends up being a pass. If I'm forced to make a pick, I guess you could say Meerschaert's, a dog, but I'm certainly not going to bet it. I wouldn't recommend anybody else betting it. If anybody else has a much better read on this fight than me, congratulations. I'm not laying minus 300 or close to it on Andre Petroski here. So this is a fight that I have really no strong opinion, and I think this is a complete stay away. So up next, Gregory Rodrigues and Denis Tiuliulin. So Gregory Rodrigues' loss to Bruno Pereira is one of the more confusing losses I've seen. And I think we have to figure out, was that a lucky shot, or is his chin really vulnerable because of all the damage that he took against that Chitty fight? So, if you didn't see the fight against Chitty, I mean, Rodrigues was seconds away from being finished, makes the insane comeback, has the cut on his head that is so deep you can see his artery. I mean, if doctors had to go back and do it again, they'd stop it 99 times out of 100. Takes all the damage and then ends up getting the finish when Chitty gets tired. Next fight, fighting Bruno Pereira. Herrera's on really, really short notice. He's winning the first round. He's got Pereira backed up against fence. Bang, counter left. It didn't look that powerful. I don't know if it was just a one of a kind shot because Herrera gets planted and beaten easily in his next fight. But we gotta figure out, is Rodrigues' chin that gone? Is he in trouble now? Or was it just a crazy, perfect shot at the right angle that knocks him out? If it was just a one of a kind shot and Rodrigues is fine, he's going to roll Denis Tiuliulin. I don't think Tiuliulin's good. His only win in the UFC is against Jamie Pickett, who we now know is probably going to get cut, and Pickett is terrible. He was finished in his other 2 UFC fights. So if Rodrigues is fully recovered, I don't think the fight's going to last very long. But at the same time, if Rodrigues' chin is now glassy and he's going to get knocked out at the first shot, then I think unders is really the way to go, because no matter who wins, I think it's going to be early. If Tiuliulin's going to win, I think it's because he catches Rodrigues on the chin and Rodrigues goes out. But if Rodrigues is going to win, I think he can just run through Tiuliulin with the striking. So I'm not going to bet on Rodrigues at minus 355. That's crazy because I don't want a guy whose chin could be a little suspect. But I'm going to wait till props come out, and I'm definitely going to take the under, even if it's under 1.5. I think no matter who wins, it's going to be an early finish. So I will take the under in this one when the props come out. Chris Weidman and Brad Tavares. This is not the fight we wanted. I guess it's the fight we needed. Listen, I am certainly not excited to bet on Brad Tavares, but I will not be betting on Chris Weidman. I mean, Weidman 2-6 in the UFC, going back on 8 years. His last fight broke his leg early in the fight. The guy's almost 40 years old. That highlight that we always see of him knocking out Anderson Silva when Silva's kind of dancing around and Weidman hits it? Yeah, that's over 10 years old now. That is over 10 years old. Sorry to make everyone feel old. But listen, Tavares' only way to bet this fight, minus 265, which I'm seeing it now, is just a little bit too steep for me. That being said, I could look like a moron if Tavares just smokes Weidman and Weidman looks like he's 40. It's a stay away from a betting perspective. I really can't find much value here, but the saying dog or pass. I think this is favorite or pass because there's no way, no shot I'm betting on Chris Weidman. I don't know. I may talk myself into betting on Brad Tavares somehow, but I don't know. The guy's 19-8. He's 35. Loses to Bruno Silva, loses to Duplessis, which that loss now has, aged pretty good. It doesn't look that bad, but losing to Bruno Silva early in round 1, and then loses to Omari, or I'm sorry, he beats Omari, beats Antonio Carlos Jr. It's Tavares or nothing in this one. I know I'm trying to look for underdogs, but I just can't get there in this one. So. Up next, Marlon Vera versus Pedro Munhoz. This is a fight I love the favorite in. This one, I'm not hesitating. I'm getting to the window on Marlon Vera. I'm shocked that we're getting this below minus 200, and I would want to grab it before it gets to minus 200. So I know Munhoz is coming off a really good performance against Chris Gutierrez, showed his takedown offense and ground game, wins round 1, controls the pace and pressure on the feet in rounds 2 and 3, gets the win. My issue was I thought it was a terrible fight from Gutierrez. I thought he missed a lot of opportunities. I thought he was tentative. He was on his back foot the whole time. And Marlon Vera is not going to let that happen. Marlon Vera is not going to let Pedro Munhoz walk him down. He's probably not going to let him take him down and lay on him for an entire round. So I think that everything that Munhoz does, that he does good, I think Vera just does it a little bit better. And of course, we got Marlon Vera, who my only worry is that he does start off slow because he likes to download information and he likes to kind of figure his opponent out. And, in these fights, you really can't afford to give away a round. A 5-round fight, okay, yeah, you can afford to give away a round if you dominate the next 4. But I don't like that angle on him, but I'm not sure he does that in this fight. So, I mean, we look at Vera's, record. Vera's record in the last 5 fights, split decision loss to Sandhagen, that is like absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. And then before that, gets the win over Dominic Cruz, Rob Font, Frankie Edgar, Davey Grant. So losing a split decision to Corey Sandhagen, that's the only blemish on the record. To me, that's really good. He's been fighting really well. Loses to Jose Aldo, but that was the good Jose Aldo. So I have Vera. This is one of my more confident plays when you combine the price and you combine the level. So Munhoz is good. I think this is a little bit big of a step up, and I think we're giving a little bit too much credit based on the Gutierrez fight. Because I went back and watched it. I was like, man, Gutierrez just really, really missed quite a few opportunities there. So I was really bummed that we didn't get the Mario Batista Cody Garbrandt fight. Garbrandt mercifully drops out. Otherwise, Batista was going to be the big parlay piece. So Neil Magny and Ian Garry. I mean, minus 440 on Ian Garry. I got to tell you, I don't like these odds, and I think the play is Neil Magny. I know, it's Neil Magny. It's not going to be an exciting fight. I know Garry is a polarizing fighter, 12-0. He's only 25 years old. As he gets older, he's getting better. He's getting more strong, and we saw him get a really nice finish against Daniel Rodrigues. It wasn't a lucky KO. That was the other thing. I thought he did an incredible job setting up the shots. He worked his punches and he worked his kicks to where he threw a feint and then Rodrigues bit and Garry smokes him with the head kick. I thought it was great. Now he's fighting Magny, stepping up on short notice. And if Magny is in true fight shape, I really like his chances here. Gary's been training for the striking of Jeff Neal, and I think Magny can use his reach to frustrate Garry a little bit, and I definitely think he can use his clinch and possibly his takedowns to frustrate Garry. Like Ian Gary's been training for Jeff Neal, which I would have assumed would just been an all-out striking battle, but I think Magny is going to bring a few different things to the table. And if Garry doesn't have enough time to get ready for it, it could throw him for a little bit of a loop. So, I'm not ruling out a smart, really cagey veteran performance where it's a split decision and Magny pulls it out. So, look, Magny's last 2 losses, listen, they were to grapplers, Gilbert Burns and Shavkat Rakhmonov. But he's beaten strikers, Phil Rowe, Danny Rodrigues, Max Griffin, Jeff Neal, his last 4 wins. I'm just not laying this price on Ian Garry. Minus 440, that is an insane parlay piece against someone like Neil Magny. So it's a Neil Magny fight, so you're clearly looking at overs in this. If you can get a really good number on an over 1.5, maybe we get a good price because of Gary's recent knockout. But we're looking at underdogs, and we're trying to find that big plus money because we know not all the favorites are going to win. I think Neil Magny is just that dirty, icky, just hold your nose and sprinkle it. And if we get to decision and you hear the announcer, Judge 1 scores it, you got a split decision, you're going to be happy you're holding a plus money ticket on Neil Magny. There's no chance I'm laying that price on Ian Garry. So up next, Weili Zhang and Amanda Lemos. Huge odds here. Weili Zhang minus 330 around there, depending on what sportsbook you're looking at. I just don't like laying these odds in a fight that features 2 dynamic strikers. So, listen, on paper, Zhang should be better on the feet, more controlled, yet really good, powerful striking. But Lemos has KO power. She stopped Maryna Rodrigues. I thought it was way too early, but whatever. I thought it was a fortunate stoppage for Lemos, but give her credit. I thought she wasn't doing very well. Explodes, gets the huge shots. And when you have 2 females like this, I just think these odds need to be a little bit closer to even. I would maybe look at Zhang around minus 200, and maybe she goes out there and rolls Lemos. That could absolutely happen. But Lemos has showed that even when she's down, she still has a puncher's chance. So, she's on a 7-1 run in the UFC. She knows this is probably going to be her last run at a belt. I think Zhang has Lemos covered on the feet. I just don't like betting and laying these odds where the underdog has a legit chance to pull off the KO. So Lemos is going to be swinging for the finish. He's going to be swinging hard. One shot lands and wobbles Zhang. Who knows what can get happen? I think Zhang is going to win. It's unbettable for me. I won't take overs or unders or a side. I won't be betting this fight, but I would certainly not be surprised if Amanda Lemos pulls off the upset. This goes back into something that I went and looked at about underdogs. So underdogs on the main card of pay-per-views have been a really good bet. I believe they're 12-14. Going back 5 pay-per-views, I'll have to double check those numbers. But basically, if you just blind bet all of the underdogs on the pay-per-views on the main card of the pay-per-views, you've come out way ahead. And one of them was a Bo Nickel. I think it was the Bo Nickel Tresean Gore. You're probably not betting on Tresean Gore versus Bo Nickel, but these underdogs are hitting. And even though on paper it looks like they all should win, they're just not. And the underdogs have been a really, really good bet. So if you're thinking about laying heavy juice and it's the main card of a pay-per-view, I just be careful because sometimes they look really easy and then all of a sudden it's really not easy. So don't forget, guys, all plays can be found at wagertalk.com. Hopefully everyone had a hopefully everyone was not involved in the Cub Swanson debacle, and hopefully we're gonna have a really, really nice one. I got burned by the Cub Swanson, so I had him in a I had Hakeem in a parlay, prevented me from having a winning weekend in UFC. So very salty about that, but I feel like the handicap was correct. The handicap was correct when Cub Swanson says I didn't do enough to win the fight. That's so bad. So we'll laugh and move on. But all plays at wagertalk.com. All right, let's break down Sterling and O'Malley. I said, got to look for spots where the underdog is live. I think O'Malley is live, and he is my pick to win. I'm not picking O'Malley because, I've been on the O'Malley hype train, or, I just love his hair. I follow him on social media. I'm picking O'Malley because the underdogs have real value, and I think Sterling's wins are he's just kind of been getting away with it. There have been some. Let's just take a look here. So there's certainly a few ways that you could look at his wins. Okay, Corey Sandhagen rear naked choke. I think that was his. I thought that like on paper best finish. I mean, someone like Corey Sandhagen gets a rear naked choke, great finish. Okay, we all know about Petr Yan, the illegal knee. Okay, so then he comes back, split decision. One judge goes the other way. That's a loss. TJ Dillashaw, who's clearly hurt. By the way, I'll never forgive TJ Dillashaw for that nonsense. And then Henry Cejudo, it looked like a great fight, but again, a split decision against a guy that hadn't fought in years. So, he fought Dominic Cruz in 2020. He comes back pretty much with 3 years off. I mean, he looked like he was in great shape, and the fight was great, but it was kind of a Aljamain Sterling wrestling match that if Sterling could have picked the style, that's the style. So what are his last 4 wins? An illegal knee, a split decision win that could have gone either way, fight somebody that's clearly injured and should not have been fighting, and then he beats a guy that's 3 years removed in another split decision. If he's 2 judges away from having both of those fights be losses. So Sterling's not going to keep getting away with these wins. He's not going to get fortunate every single time. O'Malley's height is going to give him real problems, I think. Sterling's going to shoot, and Sterling is going to get his hands around O'Malley. Can he get him down and keep him down and do the damage to A, get the finish, or B, impress the judges? Because if O'Malley can use his reach, I think he can piece up Sterling a little bit and make these rounds interesting and close. I don't think O'Malley is going to knock out Sterling unless he, pulls something out of nowhere. Maybe a kick or a knee if Sterling is shooting. But I'm looking at this number where we've got, Aljamain Sterling as a huge favorite here. We're at around minus 170. And I know O'Malley's last win was a split decision, like we talked about. This is a big step up in competition for O'Malley, but I just look at Sterling and I'm just looking at his finishes and going, he's not going to win every split decision. He's not going to fight a hurt fighter like Dillashaw. So I'm going with the underdog here. My official pick is going to be Sean O'Malley. It's worth a sprinkle. We know that these underdogs have value. I think O'Malley can do enough on the feet. And if it goes to a split decision, listen, if Sterling can win 3 split decisions in a row, more power to him. The MMA gods just love him and, and must have special plans for him. I'm going with O'Malley. I think the reach is going to be enough to frustrate Sterling. O'Malley's cardio will certainly be tested, but I haven't seen any issues with this cardio. And Sterling will certainly put that to the test. I think it's going to be a great fight. But in the end, on a really, really close fight, I'll be more than happy to be having a ticket on O'Malley at plus 2-1. So that's going to be all of the breakdowns for UFC 292. Like we said, all the official plays are on wagertalk.com. Please comment, like, and subscribe. If you like my picks, hate my picks, please let me know in the comment section below. Good luck. Let's have a really, really profitable UFC 292. Good luck, and we'll see everyone later.